Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another Yorubaness section. My name is Kolawole Ayinla. We're sorry for being a little bit late. Today, we're going to be talking about Kwara people, the Yoruba people of Kwara State. Growing up, I've always known Kwara to be a Yoruba state due to the influence of fusion music. Thanks to the legendary musician, Kollington Ayinla. And he was a very proud Yoruba from Kwara State. He was always proud to tell us about his Yorubaness. In true thick time, through thick and thin, in tough time and in good times. Yoruba will always be there for one another. We'll support each other, protect each other, stand for each other, and help each other. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I would like to introduce to you my co-host for tonight, Mr. Jalomi, who is on the space, and he'll be moderating your Q&A as well, alongside myself. And finally, I would like to introduce the speaker for tonight, the president of TYF Worldwide, Are Bolariwa Oladimeji. Thank you, Are. Are you ready to give us a very great lecture tonight?
Thank you very, very much. At least anytime you do the prelude, there is always a form of confidence that it ushers in. I greet everybody in the name of Olodumare. I greet everybody in the name of the ancients. Today is another day where we are talking about a very important topic. Where we are going to be talking about the Yoruba people of Kwara State. Many people have always asked this question: is Kwara State a Yoruba state? I also want to thank everybody that has been a true supporter and follower of TYF. May Olodumare continue to bless you. May Olodumare continue to uphold you. It has not been easy for us as regards our advocacy and what we've been doing for so many years. I really, really want to commend us for our steadfastness, for our dedication at all times. And I also want to thank those who are continuing to be a follower of TYF. Now that we've been able to take Yoruba Rono from just audio, strictly audio, to audiovisual. And it's not been easy to assemble a team that has scattered all over the world to work together in unison and to ensure we continue to produce, because this is a production. And there's pre-production, production, and post-production of Yoruba Rono that takes hours and days, pains, and labors of love of many volunteers that are working day and night to ensure this message of hope continues to spread all across the world. Earlier this week, I was at TVC News to speak, to be the voice in the wilderness, and to use the grace that God has given me through the love that my fellow Yorubas have shown to me and TYF to speak about the plight of our people in Kwara State. We really want to thank our people. We really want to say thank you to all those who made it happen and those who watched it across the world. May Olodumare continue to be with us. We live in a very dangerous time. We live at a very critical time in history. They say history repeats itself, But there's another important saying that says that it is men that repeat history. We Yoruba people, we need to actually understand our problems so that we can understand where we're going. The Yoruba land of Kogi is bigger than Ekiti. Is bigger than 2 states in the southwest. I'm talking about Kogi West. And the Yoruba people of Kogi are found in 7 local governments of Kogi State. 7 local governments, which is almost 1/3 of the entire Kogi State. In a state that has many ethnicities and many ethnic groups, which shows that the Yoruba people are not the minority in Kogi State. Tonight, I'll be speaking about Kwara State because I've watched with dismay and seen that a lot of our people do not actually understand what Kwara State is. A lot of our people do not actually understand Kwara State. And we need to properly understand Kwara State for what it is and actually understand where our problem is and how we can be able to find a lasting solution to the Yoruba people there, to the Yoruba problem in Kwara State. Is Kwara State a Yoruba land? Kwara State is Yoruba land that is geopolitically located in the north, in the north central part of Nigeria. That is why we are so grateful to Almighty God that after many years of campaigns, a lot of people now understand that Yorubaland is not the same thing as Nigeria. Yorubaland is not the same thing as Southwest. And Yorubaland is beyond Nigeria, and Yorubaland is beyond the Southwest. 2 truths can coexist. If we do not properly change narrative and properly use the right terminology, we risk going into extinction. A big chunk of Yoruba territory risks being lost to our neighbors if we are not careful, which is why we need to actually understand who we are. Tonight, I will be speaking specifically about the Yorubas of Kwara State. The Yorubas of Kwara State account for almost 80 to 90% of the population of Kwara State. But despite their population, the Yorubas of Kwara State are politically powerless. They are politically weak, which is why the question is Kwara State a Yoruba land? Is Kwara State a Yoruba territory? Continues to happen every day. I would have loved to go into history about that territory of Kwara State and what happened in the 19th century, the problem of the 19th century, and the inability of the Yoruba people there, of our ancestors, to properly make the right geopolitical decisions and to the ability to do the right thing at the right time is why we are currently having this problem. I am not insulting our elders. I am not saying that our elders are weak or they've not done well. Our elders have done well, which is why we need to properly understand the problem in Kwara State. Brothers and sisters, all patriotic Nigerians, all patriotic Yoruba nationalists listening to me today, this topic is extremely critical for the present and for the present and for the future. Because you cannot solve a problem that you do not understand. You cannot overcome a problem that you do not know. So that is why we want to talk about Kwara State. Kwara State has 16 local governments. That's why I said I'm going straight to the point. So what I will be doing is I'll be talking about the present and be juxtaposing into the future. I know a lot of us, some people love to go into the future before talking about the present. But I want to go from the known to the unknown so that we can properly have flowed together. If you are not paying attention, please pay attention tonight. And you are going to understand what Nigeria truly is and what Nigeria has done to the Yoruba people. The Yoruba people have been the biggest victims of Nigeria. We were the biggest victim of Nigeria, even though we fought tooth and nail for the liberation of Nigeria from the British and for the defeat of Biafra in order to keep Nigeria as one. The question we need to ask ourselves, the political goodies, the political outcome that always comes after each liberation struggle, what has the Yoruba people benefited from it? Absolutely zero. Hopefully things are currently changing, but the damage that has happened to the Yoruba people for the past 100 years since amalgamation, while other ethnicities are progressing, the Yoruba people are becoming politically backward. And a lot of people still do not understand this. Instead of us to continue to propagate Yoruba nationalism, our people are even resorting, but they are now resorting into basic, pure, primitive clannishness. They are Ogbomoso first. They are Ibadan first. They are Awori first. They are Ekiti first. They are Ilaje first. They are Akure first. They are Owo first. That is why things that no longer exist in Yorubaland ever since the end of the Kiriji War. We've seen other ethnicities who want to annex part of Yorubaland, trying to bring in tribalism into the Yoruba Commonwealth, trying to rile up the Awori people, trying to rile up the Ijebu people against other Yoruba people in order for them to grab power and take over Yorubaland. We need to understand what Nigeria is so that we can understand where we're going. I know some of you are listening today and you are wondering, what power do you have? You are not a politician, you are not rich, but I can tell you, you are powerful because there's a Yoruba blood flowing in you. Voxi Populi, Voxi Dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God. If all of us stand up, like we've been doing for the past 3 years and 4 years, pushing back against Yoruba hate that has been institutionalized in Nigeria, we've seen that our political leaders are now having the guts. They are now having the strength to be able to speak and defend the Yoruba people. We've seen that the level of self-destructive, self-immolating behaviors and utterances of certain Yoruba people has reduced drastically on social media. This is the power that we have. And the reason why we could all band together and do this is because of the information that we now have. The decadence in Yorubaland was not a mistake. The decadence in Yorubaland was not a mistake. The self-immolating, self-immolating behavior, lack of self-preservation that we have in Yorubaland was socially programmed. So that is why I understand that a lot of Yoruba people, that youth, joined the obedient movement thinking they were joining a Messianic movement. Now they know because of the information that they now have. So we want to talk about Kwara State. There are two groups of people in Nigeria. There are empire builders and there are nation builders. Nigeria has not been able to solve its problem as regards the identity question. We just believe by sweeping things under the carpet, one way or the other, things are going to get better. But unfortunately, things are not getting better. We are plastering the wound, and the wound has continued to deteriorate and continue to smell, to whose bad odor. which is why we are in this trouble. And which is why we need to have this conversation. And what is the conversation that we are having? The conversation of the Nigerian question. There are two types of Nigerians: empire builders and nation builders. The Yoruba people just want to be Yoruba people within Nigeria, stay within their God-given space, and develop their space and contribute to the center in the name of Nigeria. There are some ethnicities in Nigeria. Their own definition of Nigeria is the ability to leave their ancestral homeland and dominate and subjugate other ethnicities in other places. That is their own definition of Nigeria. They are not Nigerian enough, or except they subjugate other Nigerians. And there are some Nigerians, they don't believe in the secularism of Nigeria. They believe that the whole of Nigeria should be Islamized. They believe that Sharia law must be enforced all across Nigeria. And if you ask them, they're also going to be discussing and telling you and preaching to you about the patriotism of Nigeria. If they are not expanding and imposing their will on other people, those two groups I've mentioned, they are not comfortable. They are the empire builders. They don't have any borders. They want to leave Anambra and go and be creating Obi of Lagos. They want to leave Sokoto and go to Akwa Ibom and be installing the Sultan of Akwa Ibom. I'm just giving you instances of what we face. And when you are faced with this problem, you need to understand what you are facing. And they are so intelligent. They are so adaptable. They've been able to adapt democracy to suit their agenda. They've been able to adapt insecurity to suit their agenda. They've been able to adapt the unitary system of government to suit their agenda. They've been able to adapt. They've been able to adapt politics to suit their agenda. So we, as Yoruba people, what is our agenda? We do not have any agenda. We do not. From the way our political elites speak, the way our obas shamelessly come to social media to embarrass themselves, the way the youths in Yorubaland behave, the attitude of our political class and young politicians as regards to the self-preservation of Yorubaland, and the audacity of people who practice caste system, which is worse than racism, to openly be importing voters and trying to change demographics of Yorubaland in order to politically hijack and annex Yorubaland under the greatest of the free movement and the unitary system of government. We need to understand all this dilemma that we find ourselves, which is why we cannot even talk about Kwara State, because Southwest is in a state of disarray. It's in a state of disarray. Everything is politics to many of our people. They are only Yoruba every 4 years. After 4 years, they are no longer Yoruba. Some of our people are not even Nigerian first, talk less of Yoruba first. Many of them are PDP first. Many of them are APC first. If they can sacrifice the entire lineage, they can even sacrifice Nigeria for APC politics. They can sacrifice Nigeria for PDP politics. Their loyalty is to their political party, because that political party is their pot of soup. They want power. They believe one day their turn will come, and they will also become the next big thing in the society. That is why we have youth leaders that are now openly propagating, selling PS5 for our youth as a means of youthful, the youth skill acquisition, and such a person can come to social media, be spitting on our faces, because he knows there is not going to be consequences. There are not going to be consequences, because once he's politically connected, he knows that his own base, they are not politically sagacious to know that it's a miscreant. These are the kind of problems we have. Gradually, feudalism has slipped into the mainstream of the Yoruba society. I'm still going to talk about Kwara State. Kwara State has 16 local governments. Out of the 16 local governments, 12 of the local governments has 90% Yoruba population across 12 local governments. Yoruba are the most populous, 90% out of these 12 local governments. These are historic Yoruba territories. They speak Yoruba language. They were part of the Oyo Empire. They were part of the Ife Empire. They were part of the Owu power structure of 900, 800 years ago. So they speak Yoruba. They are not Yorubanized people. They are Yoruba people. But what happened? What happened and are we having this conversation, is Kwara Yorubaland or not, was the problem of the 19th century. The problem of the 19th century was Yoruba people allowing outsiders to meddle into our internal politics. Well, that is why Igbos should not be allowed to meddle in our internal politics. Fulani should not be allowed to meddle into our internal politics, because it never ended well for us. Using the case of the fall of the Oyo Empire, all ethnicities have great history. It is not hate for us to say, even though Nigeria, we are in Nigeria, but we must never forget Nigeria is not an organic creation. Nigeria was a product of British and European imperialism. There is nothing lovely about such a situation. We need to have some heart-to-heart conversation. So we are not part of Nigeria, but that does not mean our history started with Nigeria. The history of the Yoruba people is beyond Nigeria, is beyond 1960s, beyond 1914, is beyond 1884, is beyond 1885, is beyond 1600, is beyond 1500. Documented history. Because we are the most powerful civilization in West Africa. The Yoruba spirituality is the most powerful indigenous African spirituality in Africa, in South America, in North America, in Europe, and even in Asia. So we are a people that have been able to assert our geopolitical power and influence across the world, spiritually, economically, entertainment-wise, all across the world. So we need to be able to understand who we are. Kwara State has 16 local governments, and I'm going to be breaking Kwara State. The 16 local governments, the Yoruba people dominate Kwara South Senatorial District and Kwara Central Senatorial District, while we are a minority in Kwara North Senatorial District. If you look at what they did in Kwara State, you are not going to understand the terminologies like redistricting and gerrymandering as it happens in American politics, where powerful people, powerful groups, a powerful race, they are not allowed to become a majority in any state. Just like they did for the Black Americans in America, where the Blacks are not a majority of any states in all the over 50 states in the United States of America. It was not a mistake. It is by design. It is well socially crafted in order to ensure that Blacks will never have 2, 3, 4 states where they can call them their own within America. The same thing is what happened to the Yoruba people in Kwara State. I mentioned Kwara Central. Kwara Central has just 4 local governments. Kwara Central Senatorial Zone has 4 local governments. Now, the Kwara Central are the four senatorial zones in the 4 local governments in the 4 senatorial zones in Kwara South, in Kwara Central, are Assam local governments, Ilorin West, Ilorin East, and Ilorin South. Just 4 local governments. Now, let's go to Kwara South. Kwara South Senatorial Zone has 7 local governments. 7 local governments, which includes Ekiti local government, the 2 Ekiti local governments, Ofa local government, Irepodun local government, Irepodun local government, Ifenodun local government, and the last one, which is also an Ibolo local government, the ones that surrounds, envelopes the whole of our local government. So we need to understand all this. And 7 local governments was what they used to give, 7 local government was what they turned. They used to give just 1 senatorial zone. So why should Kwara Central, with 4 local governments, be more politically powerful than Kwara South, that has 7 local governments? I'm not done. So 7 plus 4, 11 local governments. Where is the 12th Yoruba local government in Kwara State? The 12th Yoruba local government in Kwara State is Moro local government. Now, Moro local government was now deliberately carved. Moro local government has borders with Oyo State, with Ogun part of Oyo State. It has borders with Ilorin East. It has borders with Ifenodun local government. But it was deliberately carved into Kwara North. Now, if you look at Kwara North, the non-Yoruba part of Kwara North are just 4 local governments, which are the 2 Nupe local governments and the 2 Bariba local governments. The 2 Nupe local governments are Edu and Patigi. They do not have any borders with the Bariba and with the Bariba local government. What did they do again? They sacrificed the Yoruba people in Moro local government and carved them in order to punish them for their agitation not to be under the emirate structure in Kwara State. And they said, we are Yorubas. The days of emirate Alimi hegemony through war has been destroyed ever since Ilorin was crushed at the Battle of 1840. Well, why are you now using politics to deliberately subjugate our ancient harbors? Harbors and kingdoms that have been existing before Alimi ever trekked into any inch of the Oyo Empire. Because we need to understand this fundamental fact. I'm not here to preach it. I'm not here to create controversy, but we need to understand what is going on there. And I know Olodumare will continue to be with us. I know the Olodumare will continue to empower us, for us to know the politics that is going on over there. So Moro local government is as big as Lagos State. The size of Moro local government in Kwara North senatorial zone, which is an 100% Yoruba speaking space, speaking local government in Kwara State, is as big as the entire Lagos State. So you cannot be saying every Yoruba Kwara Sile, you cannot. If you understand pan-Yorubanism, if you understand that no Yoruba is more Yoruba than another Yoruba, if you understand the importance of Yoruba unity, you are going to know it's extremely critical and extremely important for us to work hard for the survival of the Yoruba people of Kwara State and for the political liberation of the Yoruba people of Kwara State. The Yoruba people of Kwara State, who are 90% of the population of Kwara State, they are not being held through guns. They are held through the weaponization of poverty, weaponization of religion, weaponization of ignorance, and political mercantilism. Because it is political mercantilism, which, because it is politics, only a few minority aristocrats, feudalists and bourgeoisies have access to money and power, which has made our Yoruba people there powerless and irrelevant. And any attempt for them to always rise is always met with being crushed and sabotaged. The Yoruba people are not asking for secession. They just want to be Yoruba people in Yorubaland, in their ancestral homeland. They should not regret. Why should, let's say, the state structure, even the state structure is still a form of injustice that I have spoken about several times. The state structure in Nigeria is also a form of injustice. Even though people talk about, oh, what is the price of Gari? The price of Gari is not going to stop the injustice in Nigeria. A lot of people, I saw a lot of people talking about, oh, we saw what, even though America is playing politics, we all know that America is playing politics by saying that Christians are being killed in Nigeria. But the reality is, you cannot have a country where people are lynched because of blasphemy, where people are lynched because of religious differences, where people, hundreds, thousands of people are wiped out by militias from one religion, by wiping out indigenous people. We saw what Atiku did when Atiku had to delete a message, a tweet where he was condemning the lynching of Deborah in Sokoto. Now, everybody sees that. Till today, those who killed Deborah are still walking free. Now we are not doing all sorts of propaganda. We are doing all sorts of damage control. Oh, Christians are safe. The Christians in the south are safe. The Christians in the middle belt of Nigeria are now safe. I'm saying this openly. We must speak the truth at all times. Because religion has been weaponized in some sections of the country as a means of expansionism and power grab. It's the bitter truth. Until we say the truth, Nigeria is not going to know peace. Nigeria can work, but it can work on the basis of peace, justice, and unity. Peace, justice. That is the only thing that can make Nigeria work. So going back to the issue of Kwara State, the issue of Kwara State, so Moro local government, as big as it is, was not taken out of Kwara Central and placed in the core north. Now, in Kwara North. Now, what happened is the Yoruba people there were intentionally turned into minorities. The Yoruba people were turned into minorities. So what happened is that is one of the most underdeveloped parts in Nigeria, one of the most underdeveloped places in Kwara State, and it was intentionally done so because of the politics of control and feudalism. So it is called divide and rule, divide and conquer. It was not different from the way the Berlin West African Conference happened, where the Europeans broke Yorubaland into pieces. The Germans took the Yorubaland of Togo. The French took the Yorubaland of Benin Republic, while the English took the Yorubaland of Nigeria. It's not different from what happened in Kwara State. And what they successfully did is to ensure that the Yoruba people are never going to be politically powerful, even though they are powerful within Nigeria, within Kwara State. So in Kwara State, they are the most powerful. They have the biggest local governments. The Yoruba local government are the biggest. But what has happened? So what they did now also we go into Kwara South, Kwara Central, which is the problem. Now, Kwara Central, which is mostly Ilorin, the three Ilorin local governments, because Asa local government and Moro local government, they've been fighting tooth and nail. Now, let me also tell you one thing. The Yoruba people of Kwara State, they are not weak. They are not stupid. They've been fighting for a long time for the liberation of their people. The Yoruba people of Kwara State have been fighting for a long time for the liberation of their people. Now, there's a reason why I said that several times. Many people don't know that in the northern region, during the time of the First Republic, the entire Kwara South the entire Kwara Central used to be entirely under the Ilorin Emirate, even the part of the Baribas. So it was the balkanization of the northern region that gave liberation to our people, that gave liberation and succor to our people. That was why they were saying, okay, that's why many of these our historic harbors who were downgraded to Bale started having their own, they became first-class monarchs. But unfortunately, when Moro local government was created, there was a serious campaign by the father of the former Senate President of Nigeria, Olusola Saraki, and some Ilorin aristocrats who never wanted that to happen, who said no, Moro local government must never be created. So we understand that the Yoruba people of Ilorin, of Moro local government, as a local government, are currently being punished because of this, their continuous fight for justice. Now, the issue that we are currently facing, I said something at the start of this lecture, that there are two groups of people in Nigeria, the empire builders and the nation builders. The empire builders of Nigeria who still believe that we are still stuck in the medieval region, medieval times, where they still want to continue the power of the Sokoto Caliphate. Some extremists in Ilorin who are in the minority. We see them every day going to harass Yoruba traditional worshippers in a country that enshrines the freedom of religion, freedom of worship. Ẹni kan máa gbégun mọ́, wọn ò gbégun. Ẹ tún wá ń lọ sínú ilé wọn lọ máa harass wọn nínú ilé wọn ní 21st century. I'm saying this here, if you are a Yoruba traditional worshipper, traditional religious adherents, residing in any Yoruba state, from Kwara, Kogi to Lagos, we must fight as much as possible to ensure that they defend themselves. The Yoruba people that is why when we say Yoruba first, think Yoruba first, it is a dagger to the heart of expansionists in the east and in the north. Because a Yoruba man in Kwara State that thinks Yoruba first cannot be Arewanized, cannot be Fulanized, cannot be Arabized. He knows geopolitics can change. He knows that empire rises, empire falls. He knows that he being classified as a northerner, it can change if the right political atmosphere comes. Before, Bogu used to be part of Kwara State, but it was taken back and placed back in Niger State. Before, the Jeba part of Kwara State, which was on the other side of River Niger, used to be part of Kwara State. It was taken over. Borders can be redrawn. Borders can be redrawn. It knows with the right political negotiation and the right political leader, the right political charisma, the entire Yorubaland of Kwara State, in Kwara Central, in Kwara North, and in Kwara South, can be taken back to the Southwest within a flash, and nothing will happen. So he knows that one day freedom is coming, because those places are historic Yoruba lands. That is why we will continue to speak for our Yoruba people there. We will continue to practice Yoruba without borders. We're not, when we say you're practicing Yoruba without borders, we are talking about Yoruba without clannishness, Yoruba without sentiment, Yoruba that believes in thinking Yoruba first. You're not going to say because somebody is not Awori, you don't like him. Or somebody is Ijebu, you start saying all sort of rubbish. Or somebody is Oyo, you start stealing hate. You start ganging up to destroy such a person. Because you understand that our destiny is the same. The day we realize that our destiny is the same as Yoruba people, is the day that we are surely going to get better and better. And we are surely going to become powerful and powerful. I also want, so what are the things that they use? How as the minority? Now, it is of note that some people in Ilorin categorize themselves as Fulanis, and they are not even up to 90%. They are not even up to 10% of the population. And some people in Ilorin categorize themselves as Nupes. Some people in Ilorin categorize themselves as Kanuris. Some people in Ilorin categorize themselves as Hausas. Now, there's a reason to that. All those places were part and parcel of the Oyo Empire. The Oyo Empire was a multi-ethnic empire, was a multi-tribal empire. And after some time, many people started speaking Yoruba. Many people were Yorubanized. So it is very common to see millions of people with Nupe ancestry, millions of people with Bariba ancestry, many billions of people with Fulani ancestry in Oyo State, in Osun State, even in Ondo State, yet even in Ekiti State. Yet today, they are proud Yorubas. That happens in every civilization in any places. There are many, if you go to Austria, there are many Germans there who have Slavic ancestry. You go to places, you go to even Germany, there are many people that are Polish descendants. There are Poles, there are Slavs, but now they have become Russian, they have become Germans. You also go to Russia, there are many people that had Turkic ancestry, but now they are now proud to call themselves Turkic people, Russians. So assimilation happens. In anywhere you have empires, anywhere you have nation states, people assimilate and take up a new identity. It happens. It happens. Even if it's even easier if the color of the skin is the same. So if you have this kind of a case, so I've told you, even you look at Oyo City as it is, Oyo town, where the Alaafin reigns currently. You look at the current system there in Oyo. You have the Oyo Messi. You have the Bashorun. The Bashorun, the family of the Bashorun, during the days of the Oyo Empire, were Baribas. They were historic Baribas. In fact, you had the Ashipa, you go to the Shango court, the Mogba Shango, and all these people, many of them have no pay ancestry. So are you going to say they are not Yorubas again? They are Yorubas. But what happened? How we've been able to maintain the Yorubaness of many places, from Akoko axis to the Oyo axis to Ibadan, even all the way to Abeokuta, to the Egbons in Badagry, is that the political and social power dynamics in those places are controlled by the Yoruba people. But what we have in Ilorin is that the minority who are not Yoruba, who have been Yorubanized 300, 400 years ago, many of them were soldiers in the Oyo Empire army. But because of politics and because of geopolitics of Nigeria, they've always geopolitically aligned. And many of them will remember that one of their great-grandfather was Fulani. Therefore, they can be playing the Fulani card. That is what is happening. That is what is happening. Anybody in Oyo State that has Bariba ancestry, even the Shango of Ogbomoso today can say, oh, my great-grandfather 500, 600 years ago were Baribas. So he too can start saying, he can start playing the Bariba game. But fortunately, we don't have that. We've all seen the importance of Yoruba Commonwealth. But there are so many people in Ilorin that all their lives they studied in Lagos. They made their money in Lagos. You are going to look at people like Femi Adebayo, who is from Ilorin, who speaks Yoruba. He's a Yoruba man. Everything he made was using the Yoruba social currency. The Yoruba social currency of language, the Yoruba social currency of art. Forget the political madness statement that Kut Abiola was making, because he doesn't want to offend people like Saraki or those places. So that Kut Abiola had to say that some of them, they are not full Yoruba and everything. He's only saying that because he knows that some of us, many people are very emotional and they are going to latch on it. What he's saying is not different from what we have in Okyogun, or what we have in Akoko, or what we have in Oyo, or what we have in Ibadan. So it's not saying anything new. That was the composition of the Oyo Empire. That does not make them less Yoruba. So that propaganda that some of them are mixed is all irrelevant. They are Yorubas, and that place is Yoruba territory and Yoruba land. The issue is geopolitics. Now, my brothers and sisters listening to me, brothers and sisters listening to me, I want to beg us that we must never join them to play opposition politics in Nigeria again. The reason why a lot of our Yoruba people in Kwara and Kogi states, many of them started misbehaving and started changing their loyalty, even though they are Yorubas, was because of the power dynamics of Nigeria. The Yoruba people, they've been in opposition for over 50 to 60 years of Nigeria. The Yoruba people have been in opposition for more than 50 to 60 years in Nigeria. Because the Yoruba people have been in opposition for over 50 to 60 years in Nigeria, the power dynamics of Nigeria favor the North. Even since amalgamation, since 1914, from the period of the dual mandate, where the Fulani aristocrats were equal power brokers, like the British in the administration and power base of Nigeria, to the days of Awolowo, the Yoruba people have continually been in the state of opposition. Look, power is power, and there's no morality in power. Power is not served a la carte. The Yoruba people must understand power and the position and the influence they wield within Nigeria. Nigeria is a ruthless space. Nigeria, when it comes to power, every ethnicity in Nigeria is not innocent. And the Yoruba people must not make that mistake. Look at what the Ibira people are doing in Kogi State. Ibira people have been doing solidarity with the people or Yoruba people of Kogi, the Okun people and the Ogorimagongo people, and complaining of Igala subjugation of the Ibira people and the Yoruba people. What happened? Immediately, by stroke of luck, stroke of coincidence, that the Ibira people were able to hijack power in Kogi State. What have they done? People that do not have more than 5 local governments have turned themselves into despots, in a place where they are minorities. That is the definition of power. You must understand that power is ruthless, power is merciless. Now, to the Yoruba people of Kwara State, because of the geopolitical configuration that the British did, it was the British that turned the Yoruba people in Kwara State into Northerners. It was not the Yoruba people of Kwara State that turned themselves into Northerners. And the question is, what has the Yoruba people done to bring the Yoruba people of Kwara State back into the fold? Awolowo worked hard all his life. There was a particular organization, a council, Ilorin Talaka Parapo. They did like a vote, which they sent to the colonialists, the Wilkins Commission, that the Yoruba people in Ilorin want to go back and join their brothers in the West. It was Zik, Azikwe, and Igbo man who was telling the British, was lobbying the British and supporting the Sokoto Caliphate to ensure that the Yoruba people were perpetually kept in that position. And the same man was also in Lagos, saying that Lagos must not be allowed to be Lagos colony must not be allowed to be part of the Southwest. So we need to understand that what exactly is the saying of the Yoruba people for Nnamdi Azikiwe, and still Nnamdi Azikiwe was still scheming that he wanted to become the root and become the premier of Western region. Now you hate us, you hate Yoruba unity, you hate Yoruba nationalism, you hate the fact that Yoruba people want to form a geopolitical bloc, a united bloc within Nigeria, yet you want to rule the people you hate. It's not different from what we see, IPOP apologists going up and down, spewing Yoruba hate, yet they want to appropriate Yoruba culture, they want to appropriate Yoruba history, and they still want to rule Yoruba land. We need to understand that we are in a desperate times that we need to be very, very aggressive like our neighbors. Like I said, how did the Yoruba people start paying? Who are Yorubas? Start saying, yes, we are Yoruba, but we are not others. It was because of the political, the crumbs they were eating under the table. It was more profitable for the Yorubas of Kogi and Kwara to be fifth class Arewa in the Connaught and be getting access to get jobs in the federal civil service, to get promotion in the federal civil service, to get juicy contracts, to get away with a lot of things, and to also think they are more politically powerful than the Yorubas of the West. So that's why many of them started bowing down to non-Yorubas, because Yoruba people were always in a state of opposition. That is why any Yoruba man or woman that you see that is telling you that opposition is, you should be burning things down in the name of revolution, is lying to you. There is no revolution in Nigeria. There is nothing called revolution in Nigeria. You need to understand what Nigeria is so that you do not self-destruct, so that you do not destroy yourself. We must understand what Nigeria is. And that is what has happened to the Yoruba people. That is why some of us, we are defending the mandate of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with all our strength, with all our might. We are defending that mandate with our lives because Tinubu is the first Yoruba president of Nigeria. That is why you see that at the first time, there is a kind of a synergy between the Yorubas of Kogi and Yorubas of Kwara. Because the Yorubas of Kogi and Yorubas of Kwara, if they want to play northern politics, they will start playing the game of the north. But the Yoruba man is in power, they can switch. And they will say, don't forget, Tomo Yasha Aniwa, and you can see what is currently happening. They will play the Yoruba game too, and also be part and parcel of the Southwest. So, and nobody's going to stop them because they are Yorubas. They are victims of the Nigerianization project. They are victims of the empire builders of Nigeria. They are victims of colonialism. They are victims of imperialism. And we know and hope one day the entire Yoruba people in Yorubaland of Kwara South, Kogi West, Ogori Magongo, and Kwara North in Moro local government and Kwara Central is surely going to be part and parcel of the Yoruba space of the Yoruba space of the West by the special grace of Olodumare. There's nothing impossible for God to do. We do not believe in our strength. We do not believe in any means of violence, but we believe in Almighty God because that is the right thing to do. Because we are Hawoists. These are the things why they hated Awolowo. I know many people that have blocked me. And what was my sin? I asked a question. Why are the Yorubas of Kogi not allowed to come back to the West? And you're going to see people you think are minorities like the Biras. Like all these minorities telling you, oh, hey, I want to destroy their states. What kind of state is that? State that was created by the military? I want to ask a question. How many states in Nigeria were actually created by people's referendum or the consent of the indigenous people? State creations in Nigeria, the drawing of maps in Nigeria was done by the military junta, which came from a particular part of Nigeria. Every state in Nigeria was created by Northerners. And the states are the most powerful functional units of any federation. The federation units, either states, provinces, or regions, are the most powerful federating bloc in any space, in any federation, in any federal system, in any empire. It is a state. And there is no single Southerner, not a single one, that has ever done state creation in the history of Nigeria. No single one. So what exactly are we talking about? And this is why many people have actually criticized that the Nigerian state structure, the Nigerian system is not just. The Nigerian federating unit is not just. And that's why it brings us to the issue of Kwara State. And that is why we say that many people, when they want to say, oh, there is 17 northern states, there is 17 northern states of Nigeria, if they want to form this illusion that they are bigger than life, it is not true. The Arewa nationalism is a product of the Northwest. Arewa nationalism is a product of the Sokoto Caliphate. And in order to be able to continue their domination, to keep their position that Britain gave them within Nigeria. That's it. Then also, it is the politics of religion. It is the politics of religion. The kind of politics they played in Kwara State is that if you dress in Agbada, you dress in a Yoruba attire, you are seen as too Yoruba. If you appear to be too Yoruba, there is a limit to what you can achieve within the politics of Kwara State. If you portray yourself to be too Yoruba centric, you will not be allowed to get to some certain positions. So that is why you saw a lot of our people whose fathers and mothers are Yorubas. Many of them are your people from the 500, 600, 700 years ago, and changing their name to full Arabic names in order to be able to hide their Yorubaness. So many of them had to dilute their Yorubaness. They stopped putting on Abetiaja. They stopped putting on the fillers, the Yoruba caps, and they started putting on Kanuri caps. They started putting on dressing like a typical Hausa Fulanis. Agbada became almost impossible for them to wear because they needed to dilute their Yorubaness. They needed to dilute their Yorubaness. It is the same thing they want to be doing for Yoruba people in Lagos State, where you need to start speaking Yoruba. For the Igbos are telling any Yoruba governor that they need to dilute their Yorubaness. For you to be seen as cosmopolitan, for you to be seen as Nigerian enough. The Yoruba identity makes them angry. It makes them angry, and it is all political. Everything has political undertone. Because when you erase the culture of a place, you can conquer a place. So what they've done, and that is why when I see the people that tell people, they are telling the Yorubas of the majority, who are the majority and the indigenous people of Yoruba of Ilorin, to dilute, downgrade their Yorubaness. But the same people telling you are the ones always coming out to promote Fulani ideology, Fulani culture. They promote Fulani culture. They promote Fulani identity. And you start asking a question, is Fulani culture the same thing as Islamic culture? Is Fulani culture the same thing as Islamic heritage? Are they actually promoting full Islamic heritage or Islamic or Fulani culture? These are the questions that the Yoruba people need to wake up and smell the coffee. If they actually want everybody to promote Islamic culture ahead of Yoruba culture, why are you now promoting Fulani culture when you are telling us to rubbish? Why are the minorities using state resources to promote Fulani culture and telling us to downgrade Yoruba culture? You need to ask yourself. And assalamu alaikum to all my Yoruba Muslim brothers. You can be Yoruba and you can still be a Muslim. You don't need to destroy the Yoruba in you for anybody to tell you you have to be Muslim enough. Look at what the Turkish people did. The Turkish people understood one thing. For them to become a superpower and for them to be able to subjugate and rule, have continuous power over the Arabs, they did one thing, which was to separate Islamic culture from Turkish culture. So the Turkish people became Islamized, they did not become Arabized. That was the difference between the Turkish people and the Kusha and the Arabs and the Turkish people and other other Muslim converts in North Africa and part of East Africa. That is different between the Turkish people and the Somali people, because the Somali people were not just Islamized, they were Arabized. And there's a difference between Islamization and Arabization. A good example is the Turkish people, and a good example is the Indonesian people. The Indonesians are Muslims, the Malaysians, the Malay, they are Muslims, but they protect their culture and heritage. The Turkish people, they are Muslims, and they are proud ones. They even colonized the Arabs for more than 500 years. But the Turkish people were smarter. They were able to separate culture from religion. They were able to maintain their Yorubaness. But the social programming that is being done to the Yoruba of Kwara Central is that even though they are 90% of the owners, indigenous people of the land, they are being intentionally told to destroy their Yorubaness. They are being intentionally told to destroy their Yorubaness in order to be able to pay loyalty to the Nigerian, to show loyalty to the Islamic culture that is the political currency of Ilorin. So the question now we have to ask our people, now that the Yoruba people are now politically powerful in Nigeria, you don't need to destroy your Yorubaness anymore to please anybody. We are never going back into that days of carrying placards. Come on, placard, sorry to use that word. Come on, placard, come on, come on, you want gas, come on, Koboko. No, as in the country, and the Yoruba people must be able to defend themselves and protect themselves and to project power using the Yoruba social currency. I'm going to stop here. It's exactly 1 hour. Thank you so much. It's time for question and answer. May Lord Mary continue to bless the entire Yoruba race.
Thank you, Are. Thank you for that great lecture. I also want to say thank you to Madam Ajoke. I think I forgot to introduce her earlier. She's one of the co-hosts behind the scene. She's doing an amazing job on our social media comment sections on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you guys for joining us again and listening to us. And now we're going to go to the Q&A, and Mr. Jalomi would be bringing up speakers on the stage. Mr. Jalomi, do we have anyone on stage right now, please?
No, we don't have anybody on stage right now. But if you do have any question, any contribution to what you have heard and the expose by our president, Are, you could request the mic and we'll bring you up, and then you can ask a question or leave a comment. Anybody?
And also, you can call us on 234-901-075-5121 on WhatsApp. So, I have a contribution. I want you to expatiate on what you stated about Turkey and how they, how they structure their faith, their religion, their spirituality, and how Yoruba can do the same, because we've already kind of done the same. We have in the past. So I would like you to expatiate on this, please.
So the issue of Turkey, it's a case of the issue of Turkey is it's a very, very interesting case. The Ottoman Empire, after the Ottoman Empire rose, and after the conquest of the Byzantine Empire, so the Ottoman Empire, the Turkish people who are Muslims, they understood one thing. They understood that the Islamic world needed a leader. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was an Arab. So what the Turkish people did was to turn themselves into the custodians of Islam. So they took over Jerusalem and they took over Medina, they took over Mecca. All the holy sites of Islam was under the Ottoman Empire. And they even came into North Africa and ruled North Africa. So they literally colonized the Arabs. They colonized the Arabs. That was why it was very, very easy for Arabs in their millions to enlist into the army of the French Empire and the British Empire in the First World War to wage war against the Ottoman Empire. It was very, very easy because the Ottoman, the Turks, the Arabs have been looking for liberation out of Turkish subjugation for more than 500 years. And that is why this issue of pan-Islamism is absolute, it's all lies. If you know your history, you're going to know it's all lies. That's why many people don't want us to have this conversation. Now, what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that pan-Islamism, the pan-Islamism did not exist between the Turks and the Arabs. So why should Muslims be colonizing Muslims? Because at the end of everything, politics is the most important thing. Ethnic identity triumphs over religious brotherhood. The same thing was what happened in British India. In British India, after the partition of India, the case was Muslims versus Hindus, where the Muslims in Pakistan believes that they will be subjugated in a post-colonial British India. So what happened? It was broken apart. They left Pakistan. Now, what happened in Pakistan? In Pakistan was that there were two blocks in Pakistan, West Pakistan and East Pakistan. In the West Pakistan, that is the Urdu-speaking Pakistanis. The Urdu-speaking Pakistanis. And the other Pakistan, which was East Pakistan, they were the Bangla-speaking Pakistani. The West is, because of this difference in linguistic and ethnic differences, the Eastern Pakistanis believed that they could impose their own language and identity on Western Pakistanis believed that they could impose their own language and identity on Eastern Pakistanis. And there was a civil war. That was how Pakistan broke into two. Now we have Pakistan and Bangladesh. Bangladesh and Pakistan used to be in the same country. Now let me now tell you what they don't tell you. These were two ultra-Sunni groups with the same religion, same everything, but different languages. So you can understand that even languages and ethnic identity, those things is far more important than religious brotherhood in history. I've given you an example of the Ottoman Empire, and I'll give you an example of Bangladesh and Bangladesh and Pakistan. Those are two great examples. Two great examples where language, ethnicity triumphs over religious brotherhood. Triumphs over religious brotherhood. And the East and West, and you know the irony was that the West Pakistanis massacred more than 3 million Eastern Pakistanis. They were wiping out their intellectuals. Now, if we are all brothers in Islam, why are they doing this? If we are really brothers in Islam, why should this happen? So these are the reality that we face. Continue. So these are the reality we face, and we need to understand all this. And the same thing also happened in the Connaught. When Sokoto Caliphate declared war, the Sokoto Caliphate declared war on the Borno Empire. And Sokoto Caliphate was calling the Kanuri, suppose they were calling them infidels, they were not good Muslims enough. And the Shah of Borno wrote back, why are you attacking us? Are we not fellow Muslims? Why are you coming to attack us? Are we not fellow Muslims? That was what the Sheikh of Borno was asking the Sokoto, was asking Sultan Bello. If we are brothers, you are not supposed to, if you are really brothers, what you're doing is not political. If you say you are really doing this jihad for the sake of Islamic Puritanism and for the sake of Al-Jannah, for the sake of Islam, why are you now attacking another Islamic empire? That was the question he asked. And he could not answer. That was how the Kanuris were able to first win the first war, which was the psychological war. The war which was used to destroy the agenda. Because that was what the Sokoto Caliphate was doing. They will go to a place and start preaching, oh, the real Muslims, so please, oh, followers of Allah, come and join us, come and join our ranks. Come and join your kings. Your kings are apostate. They are not good Muslims. They are practicing shirk. Meanwhile, it's all politics. Because what happened is they will destroy the indigenous rulership and only impose Fulani leaders. They will destroy indigenous leaders and impose Fulani leaders. So are the Fulanis the only people that are the custodians of Islam? Who made the Fulanis the custodians of Islam? I've asked that question. They always run away when I ask that question. So the same thing happened between the Songhai Empire and the Morocco Kingdom. Morocco, an Arab country, an Arab-ruled kingdom, then in the 15th, 16th century, invaded Songhai Empire, which was another Muslim-ruled empire. If there was brotherhood in Islam, why was an Arab-led army destroying and invading a Muslim black African kingdom? So you need to understand the politics. We need to understand the politics of religion. Religion itself is politics. It can be politicized. It's not even a matter of Islam, Muslims and Christians and no. Even before the creation, the advent of these two Abrahamic religions, there has been cases in medieval times where religion was used as a tool of conquest and power. I hope I've been able to make sense, Madam Kweju.
Yes, Are, but you haven't talked about how Yoruba did it. I'm talking of Asaruddin, I believe. They had a system. So I was hoping you can elaborate on this and how Yoruba had their own model of Islam.
What happened is that Islam in Yorubaland has been in Yorubaland for more than 600, 700 years. So the Islam in Yorubaland was not political Islam. There are different, there's political Islam, there's Islam, there's religious Islam. There's political Christianity and religious Christianity. There's Hinduism and there's political Hinduism. So anything can be politicized. For instance, our politicians, people like Dayo Israel, I will continue to use him as a good example. Dayo Israel knows the importance of Yoruba nationalism. They know the power, the culture, but they are not interested in preserving it. It is just a meal ticket. They don't give a damn about it. But there's one thing about them. By 2027, you start seeing people like Dayo Israel going about, talking about Yoruba. That is political Yorubanism. Is it good? Depends on who is using it. Awolowo use political Yorubanism to be able to galvanize the Yoruba people. For a common goal, good. At least we have cocoa house, industries and everything to do that, to boast of that. But for Islam that came into Yorubaland, it was so peaceful that they were part and parcel of the society. In fact, if you look at most of the if you look at many of the Yoruba kingdoms, especially in the western axis, in the Oyo part of Osun, currently Osun State and Kwara State, the palace of the kings, the mosques were built very close to the palace of the kings. That's why you see that it is the kings, the obas, that are always selecting the chief imam. So they even used to say, two things are very always close to the palace of the kings in Yorubaland: mosque and market. So they call it Mosalashi Oba. So, and a lot of, because especially from Oyo Empire, it was a northern empire. So a lot of people were coming from Mali, they were coming from all these places to settle in Yorubaland. And because they were settling, many of them were, they were very close to the markets and they were establishing this mosque. So Yorubaland has its own version of Islam. It has been able to domesticate Islam, to be able to be compatible with the Yoruba way of life. The same way the Eritreans and Ethiopians were able to domesticate Christianity. So that was when the Italians, when they wanted to colonize Ethiopia, formerly called Abyssinia, when they wanted to colonize Ethiopia, what they did then was that they started sending Catholic monks and started trying to tell the Ethiopians that, look, the kind of Christianity you are practicing is not good enough. And the Ethiopians fought back. They killed and they killed and sent out all these Catholic monks. So they told the Italians, we've been Christians when you are still pagans. We've been practicing Christianity since the days of the Roman Empire. The history of Christianity of the Ethiopians is written in the Bible. So who are you to come and even be coming to lecture us about Christianity in Ethiopia? Who are you to come in to tell us that we are practicing fake Christianity? Those are people that were enlightened, and that was how Ethiopia can boast that they were the only people that were not colonized in Africa, because Christianity could not be used to subjugate the Ethiopians. It's the bitter truth. Christianity could not be used to subjugate them. So the Yoruba, that was what helped the Yoruba people. If not, the fall of the Oyo Empire would have meant the entire destruction of the entire Yoruba land, because it was a domino effect. It was a domino effect. The fall of the Oyo Empire created instability across from the western axis, the northern axis, to the coastal and to the eastern portion. They were even not part of the Oyo Empire. That was what led to the civil war. Because the refugees, Oyo refugees, they were now creating barracks, empires within the tropics. They were creating empires within the tropics. Most of the empires of the Yorubaland has always been the savannah. There has never been empires. The Yoruba Empire has been always a savannah empire. Ibadan was creating an empire within the tropics. And it created instability. Because the Jebus have been there for centuries. It has been there for centuries. It has been there for centuries. And they were asking questions. What's happening? What is this alien system of government? They don't have kings. They created a republic. And they created their own imperial system. They were not even using Ilari. They were using Ajele. So I don't even want to go into that. But the issue as regards Islam in Yorubaland is not different. If you look at Senegal, the Islam you see in Senegal is very close to the Islam you see in Yorubaland. The Islam you see in Syria alone, in Ghana, in Togo, in Benin Republic is very similar to the Islam you see in Yorubaland, you see in the Yorubaland of Nigeria. That's why you see what you see in Ilorin, and you see some jobless people going about knocking on people's door and telling them the kind of religion they want to practice in a supposedly secular country. It's all political. They're just trying to make a statement. And they are choosing the weak to bully. Why are they not going to churches and going to the Christians to tell them that nonsense? They can't, because the Christians in Nigeria are powerful. Christians in Nigeria are powerful. That's why I've said, until the federal government cracks down on Islamic religious fundamentalists in the core north, Nigeria is not going to know peace. The Christians in Nigeria are powerful. They are internationally connected. So they are not going to pay much to get diplomatic support in case Nigeria, God forbid, in case anything happens. So that's exactly, I think I've been able to answer your question. It has to do with how Islam got to Yorubaland. You are mute.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Thank you so much, Ari. I think we have someone on stage now. Mr. Jalomi, Lee, can you please?
Yes, we have I choose peace on stage. So I choose peace. You have the mic. You are muffled. You're not clear, Miss. I choose peace. You're not clear. You're not clear.
Good evening. Am I able now?
Yes, you have a bit of echo, but you can speak.
In fact, thank you. The topic under discussion tonight has been quite enlightening and very, very educative. Thank you. May the well of your wisdom never run dry, sir. So I just want to keep in one or two about the topic under discussion, and I just want to try to read a very my own perspective about it. What I discovered about this issue of balkanization of Yorubaland as it is today, I think this phenomenon is quite peculiar to Yoruba in Nigeria alone. Because I try to look around the other ethnic groups we have, the Igbos, I don't think they are not even that much. Talk less of being balkanized. There are people being separated. And I looked at the other tribes like the Jaws and stuff. They have their area to their with no one sharing their land with them. Even the few people that are not of their ethnic, we know the way they deal with them, we know the way they relate with them. Because they are because we live together within the same area. We see what they are doing to the Shekiri and force in Delta State. Let's look at the Hausas too. I think majority, they've already been domesticated by the Fulanis. So the question is, why is it that in Nigeria that today, we are the only one, we Yorubas, we are the only one that is affected by this very peculiar issue of the group us with this region, the group us with that region. It is not that we don't have enough land. I believe we have enough land, we have ample land. The whole of Yoruba, there was a senator, I mean, was it last week or this week, stating that the whole of 4 states in Southeast is not even up to Ibadan alone. So I don't think land is our problem. Now, by the virtue of that, I believe that through migration and many other things, that was why our people traveled so far in different parts and they were domesticated in that area, and they've thrived. They've become indigenous to that area. So how come it is so difficult that during independence or during the time that they are trying to share state and group all these people together, how come we cannot find the forebearers that actually negotiated them would not that these people are not subjected to this kind of partitioning? How come? Is it that we Yorubas who did not go to the negotiation table with any bargaining chiefs? Because I believe if it had been the Fulanis or the Hausas, they cannot try it with them. It cannot happen. In fact, judging from the People's Republic, we saw the way the British actually dealt with related with the Fulanis when they came, the Hausas. You see the conditions that they gave them. That if you guys will not allow so, we are not allowing you in our land. If you will not allow Sharia, if you not do this, if you not do that, we won't even listen to anything, any union Nigeria. Now come we Yorubas cannot stand as one then. Our forebearers that represented those things. How come they could not not stand on their feet. That, okay, the Yorubas of Warri, the Yorubas in Delta State, the Yorubas in the Yes. In fact, that Kwara is always give me a dick every day. Once I don't see anything that the Kwarans have in common with the North. So the question, this is the question that has always been baffling me. Is it that we went to the negotiation table? That means the people that negotiated on our behalf, then without any bargaining fees, or we are so desperate to be part of the union. Thank you, sir.
Firstly, we don't have enough land in Yorubaland. Ilẹ̀ ta nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ọ̀pọ̀. Bí Russia ṣe tóbi tó yẹn tẹ́ pé ilẹ̀ Russia ó fẹ́ tó gbogbo ayé. Russia sì ń jà sí inches, meters. Russia sì ń jà sí ilẹ̀ ní Ukraine. So ibi tẹ́ ti gbọ́ pé ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ti tó yín yẹn, èmi ò mọ bí mo tẹ́ ti rírò ẹ̀ rí o. Àbí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò tó wa o. We need more. So ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, so ẹni tó bá understand geopolitics ò ní ever sọ́ńtà pé lẹ́ẹ̀kan ti tóun. No, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò tó wa. Alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ nìyẹn. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì, ṣé rí Yorùbá First Republic, Yorùbá Afẹ́nifẹ́re ni. Kí ni mo mean? Àwọn Yorùbá tó jẹ́ pé kó ṣáà ti dáa fún gbogbo wa, they were ready to cut àwọn ìgbà táwọn bàbá wa máa ń wù yẹn tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n máa gé oúnjẹ tí àwọn ọmọ wọn gùn ò tí ì yó, wọ́n wá gé sí méjì torí pé wọ́n ní ará àdúgbò kan tó jẹ́ pé tọ́ọ̀gì ni in the name pé wọ́n fẹ́ proof fáwọn ọ̀dọ́mọlúàbí in tó kó bá Yorùbá débi ta dé sí nìyẹn. We have to tell ourselves the truth. That's how the Yoruba people got into this mess at this particular period of time. So láti change the mindset tiwa, ó ní pé la fi sọ pé think Yoruba first. Ní ìsìn torí ẹ̀ la fi ń pariwo pé àwọn leaders tí ó lọ mọ́ represent wa, ẹ wọ́n táwọn Afẹ́nifẹ́re àwọn Délé Fárótìmí ń ṣe. Wọ́n wá sọra wọn di Igbo spokesperson. In fact, wọ́n ń ṣépè fáwọn fellow Yorùbá sí wọn ni. Wọ́n bà ìtàn Yorùbá jẹ́, wọ́n damage ìtàn Yorùbá in order to be able to please other people. It is how it's that part. But láti get in time ṣe right as Yoruba people, a gbọ́dọ̀ tún ilé wa tò and get our priorities right. Láti má ṣe mistake àwọn bàbá wa, àwọn Yorùbá but kí ló fi yàtọ̀ sáwọn tẹ́ ń bú yẹn pé àwọn bàbá yẹn wọn yàtọ̀, àwọn tiẹ̀ tún worst. Sáwọn tó ń sọ pé kò sí nǹkan tó bàjẹ́ ń bẹ̀ náà, kí Ìgbò mọ́ jẹ gọ́fìnà lọ́sùn ṣe, kí Ìgbò mọ́ jẹ gọ́fìnà ní Kínú. Ìbáwo náà tiẹ̀ try tó lé Àsíkò kúrò. Àwọn yóò gbé gbogbo lé Yorùbá wọn gbé ta ni. Torí ẹ̀ la fi ń tún so that the Yoruba people can understand there is implication for the people that control your local politics. Ẹyẹ rẹ̀ rẹ̀ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́sùn báyìí. Gbogbo Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, it is working well and professionally. The other Yorubaland are so professional moving forward. Ẹ wọ́n rẹ̀ tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́sùn because a wrong person is in charge there. There is implication for the kind of politics we play in Yorubaland. Implication wà fún. The kind of politics of conservatism. If you are not conservative, you will not be able to negotiate. Tó máa pe àwọn Yorùbá, àwọn bàbá kan ilẹ̀ Yorùbá kan sìn pé nínú kan mú kí gbogbo Yorùbá kó Kwara àti Yorùbá Kogi kó mọ bọ̀ ní South West or kan wá mú Ìbàdàn State àbí Ìjẹ̀bú State. Wọ́n ní òsì tó kàn pẹ̀lú Yorùbá Kogi àti Kwara pé Ìbàdàn State là máa mú. That is the level of decadence tó wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. So, mo mọ̀ pé I mean well, because mo rí pé tí máa ń gbọ́ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ lectures, there's a lot of things tẹ́ pa ṣì máa yànnàná. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò tí ì tó wá o, ẹjọ́ ń torí Ọlọ́run, please ẹ má sọ yẹn mọ́ ń ta mọ́. ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò tí ì tó wa tó bá yẹ pé generation yìí tí Ọlọ́run ti gbé Ọlọ́run ló gbé generation yìí dìde kò ń ṣe TYF generation tí Ọlọ́run gbé dìde yìí tó wá ń múra kankan tó ń jà fún ìran Yorùbá tí a dáàmú political correctness mọ́ tí a give a damn nípa political correctness tí a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní understand the dynamics of power nínú Nigeria. Maybe we would have negotiated a better deal in independence. Maybe we would have understand wípé kò sí tó ń jẹ́ morality. Ọmọlúàbí is meant for Yoruba to Yoruba. Ọmọlúàbí ò meant for Yoruba to Igbo, Yoruba to Fulani. It is not true because ọmọlúàbí cannot be used for people who do not understand the concept of ọmọlúàbí, and it is wrong for us to think we can export the ideology of ọmọlúàbí and try to impose it on other cultures and civilization in Nigeria. It is a form of colonialism. In táwọn Greek náà ṣe nìyẹn, tó believe pé àwọn fẹ́ civilize gbogbo ayé. Alexander ṣe nìyẹn now. That was what Roman Empire was also doing. Roman Empire categorized human beings into two, Romans and barbarians. And tí ó bá ti jẹ́ Romans, barbarians ni. So be thinking by everybody, ọmọlúàbí is meant for you. Wọ́n rán níṣẹ́. Kò ń ṣe gbogbo èèyàn. Ṣé gbogbo èèyàn ló ń lọ́mọ ṣé Chinese lọ́mọlúàbí philosophy? Ní kálukú ń lò náà. So why táwa believe pé àwa sọra wa dídìrín? Tí ayé tí ebi dẹ̀ ń pa àwọn ọmọ tiwa torí ẹ̀ ló fi di pé àwọn Yorùbá ò ní iṣẹ́ nínú Lagos State Civil Service. Àtàwọn civil service táwọn àjòjì dẹ̀ ń gbaṣẹ́ torí pé kò sí self-preservation ní náà. Kò sí self-preservation ni. Mo rò bí mo ti dáhùn question yín báyìí.
All right, Mr. Delomi, we have somebody else on the stage. Can you please give them the mic? Thank you.
Yes, we have double OG on stage. Double OG, you have the mic. Double OG, are you there? Double OG is not speaking, but there's somebody in the comment section. Okay. All right. Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is actually the first time I was speaking on your stage, but I always listen.
You're
as my
welcome.
audience. So I really like what you've been doing so far because anytime I come, I just want to be conscious, and when I listen, I really get like the fuel to do more. And even when I interact outside, I'm more conscious, and the way I speak, it's kind of ideological because I actually know what I want based on me listening to programs like this. So I just want to chip in some points. I feel that the way Yorubaland is, think on the work where you can and politics is not moralistic. Everybody knows that. So interest in politics and other people's interest is looking for how they can take away from Yorubaland, because the way Nigeria is now, we have more than others. Not just raw materials that people think. We have this Western ethnicity that others envy. And we have a booming land. If you look at the way Yorubaland it was actually structured in the times of Awolowo and everything, you know that if we had actually followed the path that he laid down, or we can actually work towards going back to that structure, we are going to go ahead of further. But there are some other things that I feel we can also do, because if you look at the way we are, the people that are the Fulani, people have like an equal mindset for Yoruba and even Nigeria at large. They want to expand it. But we as Yoruba, we have like a different perspective to it. Because what we don't want is that we want a cohesive Yoruba system, either in Nigeria or out of Nigeria. Now, out of Nigeria, I knew Yoruba Togo, I knew Yoruba Benin, I knew Yoruba Guinea, I knew Yoruba. That is what we reform Yoruba nation. Geographically, it won't be possible because only our control to block war. You understand? If you look at the map of how Yorubaland is, even outside Nigeria, it's very, very hard for us to bring all the Yoruba into one. So even if the Yoruba are scattered, what we have to do is we have to adopt a system like that for the Jews. That you have German Jews, the Bolsheviks, Russian Jews, and a lot of them. You know that even if they have Israel, it's very, very hard for them to have a very, very broad of very low. So what we can do is àwọn people of àwọn Yorùbá wa tí wọ́n sọ English, they speak French. So I actually want us to try and look into that because if we can't speak French and they can't speak English, and just say, okay, the level of interaction would not be as good as the understand language. Because now the onus is on us as Nigerian Yoruba, the majority of Yoruba, to bring these people under into our system and for them to have that collective Yoruba identity. By so we could see difference in the Yoruba Ekiti, Yoruba Ondo, àti Yoruba Ìbàdàn. Kò yẹ kí disparity yẹn náà wà pẹ̀lú Yoruba Togo, àbí Yoruba Ivory Coast, àbí Yoruba Guinea. So I want us to also look at how we can give the people the sense of Yoruba belonging. And it will go a very long way. It will go a very long way. Because why we down with me and say that as a yes, even if we want to encourage migration and everything. I would prefer people from those places to come. Only by country pay our artisans, but I'm about Kolawole Kollington Ayinla, like our Benin, our Yoruba Benin, more, our Guinea and we used to employ those people more, like we're doing in our way. So I want us to also look at how we can collaborate with those people. And for the issue of security in Yorubaland, we can't do our governors and our politicians, both of them as well. And as I rightly said, from my friend, they look like Omoluabi Yoruba system. If you look at Yoruba history, our forefathers were not totally Omoluabi, but everything I involved, they started as warriors. Because when there is no more war, how to seek the peace? Only our Oyo Empire, Omoluabi came out of the context of it. After war, how you can organize it. And they also know totally long. But the leadership is a woman US, they want camouflage with their peacemakers. There's no country or any ethnic group that would say that, okay, yes, they are peace loving and they will also be strong on security. Our governments are saying it was not that. So as one need that demand push here, we need a collective southwest security apparatus. So it should be market here. Totally bastardizing even the concept of the so even the screening on of those individuals, because if you don't screen them well and you don't know their past, then you go to my hierarchy line to the Amotekun, who are very low to his own advantage. So what I want to we have to find a way to ensure that we have a collective security apparatus in the Southwest. And our more states level, federal level, they have to arm those guys. They have to arm those guys that they will be independent enough to fight this insurgent because only we are until actually we in North, in other countries. if they can penetrate to Kogi and Kwara, kò sí kankan wọ́n ti wọ Southwest lọ problem tiwa. So all our governors need to collaborate on how to stop that menace in that area. Well, we might change also lọ́jọ́ yẹn pé ó ní àwọn oko wa kan tí àwọn people yẹn ti wọ̀. So what is very clear that they want to infiltrate Southwest, and to ask me what Southwest problem are, we are not prepared. There will be chaos and the anarchy, and we have a lot of things to do. So I'm going to about Himalayas or how we can even put pressure on all these people. Láti àwọn Ìbà Gani Adams, gbogbo wọn dákẹ́, everybody dákẹ́, they are acting like àwọn kò sí kankan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀, and there's fire on the mountain. So we also have to look into that and look at the way we are going to have a collective voice and push our governors to work, push them to work. Àwọn tó wà ní house àyíké,
Double OG.
ìyàwó náà àwọn akọ́lá wọ́n push me.
Double OG, can you round up, please?
Okay. Wọ́n kọ́ bá push me kí àwọn people ní enough facts. So that's just my contribution for now. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. You want to say anything to that?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, so
Thank
we
you
have
very
one more speaker. Mr.
Yeah.
Jalami, please give him the mic.
Yes, we have good work, Adam. Good work, Adam. You have the mic, please.
Thank you very much. Mine just a question for I want to present the answer like, well, I don't feel like saying so much publicly though, but I think a lot of things in going things came in, and that's what I'll say about that. But I wanted to ask about how the exchange, minority exchange, because there are minorities, there are so many people that are Muslims and the people in Yoruba, who have been persecuted. But how are the exchange able to like corner everything within the houses when they don't even have the population? Because it is a democratic system and people have to cast their votes, and how are they able to get the votes enough for them to corner like every democratic things within that houses to themselves? And thank you. I have my question. Because I know gerrymandering can actually work if they have the population to do it, but they don't have the population, and I'm just wondering how they're able to like achieve that thing. That gerrymandering when you don't have the population to even get anything democratically.
Thank you. Good work, Adam. All right.
Can the question be repeated?
He wants to know how the Fulanis were able to subjugate the Yorubas, even though.
My question is that the extremists in Illinois, they're a small minority, but they were able to carry out a gerrymandering, which actually required that they should have a good number of population for them to achieve it. Because how were they able to like capture most of the democratic institution within that state to themselves? So that even when they passed a vote, they received the direction which they wanted, when the Yoruba who think otherwise are a majority. How are they able to do that? Like, because for gerrymandering, you seem to have a population, but they are able to like democratically get everything to themselves, even though they're a very, very tiny minority in that.
Okay. Let me explain something to you. A minority that is conservative, that is organized, will dominate and subjugate a naive, poor, and ignorant majority. Many of us are making a very big mistake to think Nigeria is a monolithic country, or to think some people have become civilized or modernized. What you will see across the core north and in Kwara State was exactly what was happening in medieval Europe. In medieval Europe, minorities were using the minority elites. Let me give you an instance. The family that was the monarchy of many city-states in Europe, like in Romania, like in Spain, like in Portugal, like in many of them were not even indigenous to the people they were ruling, like in Hungary. And how are they doing it? It is the ability of the minority to subjugate the majority. The same thing is happening in Morocco in 2025. In Morocco, Morocco is a Berber-dominated country, not an Arab-dominated country. But the minority Arab elites in Morocco have been able to subjugate the majority. Until now, many people even think Morocco is Arab land. Meanwhile, Morocco is Berber land. You look at what is happening in Rwanda. Minority have been able to corner power, corner affluence, and subjugate the majority. The same thing is happening. You see, the greatest thing Awolowo did to the Yoruba people was to create a new middle class by mass literacy efforts. That was what destroyed feudalism in Yorubaland. There are so many aristocrats, many of them powerful kings, powerful chiefs, who are not interested. We knew the classism of some of the slave returnees in Lagos, who hated Awolowo because Awolowo made education free for everybody. So they hated him for that. So we have to understand that this issue of e-learning is a social. If you remove feudalism and poverty in e-learning today, e-learning is just another Yoruba city. There's poverty. Only a particular few. That was why. Let me give you two things that happened in e-learning, to be specific. Kwara State in the last 45 years. By 1983, there was an Ebira governor of old Kwara State that tried to undo the evil that is being done to Yoruba Obas. The Shao, or of Shao, Jeba of Jeba, Onijeba of Jeba, Afon, Laduba, all those ancient Oyo kingdoms and Oyo towns. Because that area of Kwara Central, those are Oyo axis. And literally, it is the Oyo-speaking people of Kwara State that is holding the rest of the Yoruba people to hostage. The Oyo-speaking people, who believe they are the successor to the Oyo Empire, that are doing the damage in Kwara State to the rest of the Yoruba people. I'm saying the truth here. But they've been able to do something. Look, for instance, I spoke to a friend of mine, and I'm going to say this in public view so that people can understand the way Nigeria works. I said, you look at states like Adamawa, and you look at states like Nasarawa, you look at states like Niger State, you look at states like Gombe State, with a huge non-Hausa, non-Fulani population. Or you look at states like Kogi State. Why is it that it is the minorities that continually control the politics of these places? And he laughed and he told me that what has happened is that to contest for governor in Nasarawa is to buy form. Let's say APC is selling form, PDP is selling form, 100 million to contest for governorship. You buy a form of 100 million. You are not even sure of imagine as the delegates. You spend another 1 billion, 2 billion to go and campaign for election. He told me how many of their people in the Middle Belt have such power and money that if not for the Fourth Republic, that many of their people are poor. My friend told me, said, we are abroad, that at least when you get to the bus, you see out of every 4 or 5 Yoruba man, you see 2 Igbos, you see 3 Yorubas abroad. So he told me his ethnicity. How many Egon people have I seen? How many Tangale people have I seen in America? How many Tiv people are we going to meet today? Say many of their people are not even on this. You cannot even meet them. So they don't even have the money, not the middle class. So they've intentionally used poverty to keep them down. Look at what they did to the Yorubas of Kwara State. The Yoruba people of Kwara State cannot boast of a full-fledged government, state and federal institution in the entire Kwara State. In the entire Kwara South. The same thing, not Shefa Kogi West. The Bawon Yoruba Kogi West. So many of them, go and look at the Yorubas of Kogi and Kwara. Many of them they became Jos, Zaria, Igbo, Kaduna. Many of them still like that PhD or Kawasi West. So they do not have any means of social mobility in their society. So 99% to 98% of their people got educated outside their ancestral homeland. They became somebody outside their ancestral homeland. So what's your proof to one? What's your proof to one? So these things are intentional. If they are creating federal universities, federal air, they can go Kwara South or can go Moro local government or Kogi West. On that, so one moment, the contentious, development as liberation, but you are going to see places like Ilorin, only they're going to invest be 20 Sibe, Zaria, invest be 50 Sibe. You start asking questions, what is going on? In the United Kingdom, in London, the entire economy of the United Kingdom is concentrated in London. The best universities, the best schools. Ibo Oxford, Ibo Cambridge, around the same axis now. Oxfordshire, around the same axis ni. Economy, around the same axis ni. Because it's a means of, if you control economic leverage, you can dictate for people. So there it is intentionally only good roads. They are just good for voting. I want to come about Johnny. So if you see 1 or 2, 3 billionaires to buy imagine then it's I want powers that be no created tokenism. How many people in Kwara South? How many billionaires in Kwara South? Really bound Ilorin West aristocrats, bound for any political power. If you are looking for generals, military personnel, the best technocrats, in Kwara State, they are mostly from Ilorin. Because they get admission, it is systematic. For you to become somebody, you must key into one of the aristocrat family. So they will dictate politics, they will control politics. Feudalism in democracy. And there's nothing, I'm sorry to say this, it's the way it is. Key, before you can break such a cycle of feudalism, you have to do one thing. The Yoruba people need to organize, and our ideology must be nationalism. And we must also have a powerful Southwest. And people like Tinubu must be supported and defended. You need a billionaire that will be able to cancel out the billions of Atiku. You need a political gladiator that will be able to face Atiku and look him in the face and call him and say, go and sit down. You need someone that can call the bluff of El-Rufai and say, go and sit down. Who are you? You need a powerful block. That is what the South to understand. South understood three things. One, they cut off Igbo influence from their politics. One, uproot to Igbo influence from their politics. They let the Igbos know that the First Republic is over. Because in Toja, Eastern region or Western region, Igbos, you have no input in our local politics. Even though about to Port Harcourt is just 30 minutes. Abia to Port Harcourt is just 30 minutes. Second thing, the South understood where fortunately they amass wealth through legal and illegal means. So they were sponsoring APC, they were sponsoring PDP. They had money. The biggest financiers of politics in Nigeria are the South aristocrats and oligarchs. James Ibori, there's nothing you can do about the wicked. They are powerful. The same thing, no share. So that's three things. Three things. One thought they could see morality in power. So South understanding here. Yoruba people don't believe pé táwọn bá ṣe revolution táwọn bá yé Tinubu jẹ́ everybody ń rún pa. Àwọn mama dá ₦1 táwọn fi lọ mọ pariwo lórí social media for politics. They don't understand that every region in Nigeria tó bá tí ó bá fẹ́ ṣe ẹrú ó gbọ́dọ̀ láwọn powerful ruthless oligarchs ẹ̀ tí a lè gbówó sílẹ̀ láti survive nínú Nigeria. In tó miss nìyẹn o fáwọn pro Yoruba element tó wà ní Kwara State o. They intentionally used power agbára láti tẹ orí wọn bá. Torí ẹ̀ lẹ fi mọ àwọn Yorùbá ọba tí wọ́n fi mọ forí balẹ̀ fún ẹni tí ẹ̀kan forí balẹ̀ fún. And there's no money. All they understand pé pan-Yorubanism is almost dead nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ní Southwest. Torí nígbà tí wọ́n ìgbà tó impeach Ọlọ́fà Ọ̀fọ̀fà ní First Republic tí wọ́n yọ kúrò tí wọ́n Ahmadu Bello ní NPC tí wọ́n yọ kúrò. Àwọn Awólọ́wọ̀ ni wọ́n mú tí wọ́n gbé wá sí West tí wọ́n fún lówó oṣù tí wọ́n jẹ́ kí ebi pa tí wọ́n jẹ́ kí ìyà jẹ. Àwọn Awólọ́wọ̀ ló ṣe. Ní ìsinyìí kí ló kan ṣé gómìnà Ọ̀ṣun lè fẹ́ lọ bá àbí gómìnà wo lè fẹ́ lọ bá ṣé Sanwó-Olú lè fẹ́ lọ bá. People don't even understand why they are there. Wọ́n kàn believe pé táwọn bá ti ṣe ọ̀nà, táwọn bá ti kọ́ hospital, táwọn ti rẹ́rìn wẹ́ẹ̀, àwọn ti ṣe government yẹn. The element of the self-preservation, the cultural custodianship, self-preservation aspect of political, the self-preservation responsibility, which is part of the political and social and cultural responsibility of our political leaders, is missing because they don't understand why they are there. And it's happened because there was a vacuum. Many of us refused to participate in politics, and the worst of us started to occupy positions. So it is not a quick fix. Ama toile wani. First thing, we are Yorubas and we are Nigerians, and nobody is going to tell us that we need to diminish our Yorubaness for them to feel okay. No, we're not going to do that. Whether you are in the Northwest, South, Southwest, or North Central, we must not be timid. Why are we timid? Why should we make apologies for being Yoruba? Kilo de. Mo ti down question yin dada. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
All right, thanks so much, Are, for that very insightful answer. Mr. Delomi, there's someone else on stage. Could you please give him the mic? Thank you.
Okay, Olayinka, you have the mic, please.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Or good day, wherever we are. So, I will try to be as brief as possible. So, I am from Kwara State and Kwara State especially. So, this issue actually probably hits home for me. Now, there are too many history. I mean, there's a lot of history. Probably I joined late, so I'm sorry. So that surrounds the Kwara State. First of all, is the issue of Ilorin, which Are has addressed to some extent. So, but did you know that even within Ilorin, there's one listing in the Punch newspapers of some years ago. A journalist interview one, I think the person is maybe a lecturer or something. That history, anybody that can lay his hands on it should just, I'm not sure. Listen, so that history is actually very, very important. 10 years of history, brief history, Lori, you should that the history of Afonja, and then how things have progressed after that. Now, do you know that within the Lori itself, for many years, I don't know how to put it down, I will not confuse some people. So I want to Fulani origin, nínú Ìlọrin. Àwọn tó jẹ́ Yorùbá origin nínú Ìlọrin and the original Yorùbá origin, àwọn ló pọ̀ jù, no doubt. But àwọn tó jẹ́ Fulani origin yẹn, for so many years, they were actually the ones that were getting all the scholarships and all the educational this thing. For so many, that's even within Ìlọrin. I mean, they're just within Greater Kwara. So Kama to us treaty. So all the opportunities that came. So we found national prominence, but Belgore, the Chief Justice, or the Kiniton, they are people that are Fulani origin. So that is how complicated and subjugated the people are. So Kama to us the Greater Kwara. So it's not of recent that Kwara, we need to be very patient. There are some things that are happening, maybe of recent, that would never have happened sometimes. So it's of recent, maybe some years down the line now. So just be, even our Yoruba origin within a long, it's always are massively educated and all of that. They know themselves. That's how this is. So they know. And it's a very funny this thing. So when you understand the complexity here, only more so no doubts about it. I hear a lot of Kwara is Yorubaland. There's no doubt about that, majorly. So of course there are some nuclear controlled areas and all that. So that is that. Now Kwara South, for so many years again. So if that can be happening within Ilorin, so imagine what will happen with the other parts of Kwara. So the other parts of Kwara have been intentionally not developed. So this is for road, but it's even that the governor Ilorin to Ajase road. So it's about the most, in fact, it's even for economical reasons, for economic, I mean, for any governor, he deliberately left it like that. Not until this governor has an interesting origin. I will not go into that. So, which would not have happened. So that's of the fact that things are gradually changing. So, which would not have happened years back. So, the Ilorin to Ajase Kuro to just pay link between Ilorin to not until this governor came. When this governor came, the Lord said to some level. But what I heard that the roads, the fact that pollution generated a lot of elements within them. And you can see how this is. Look at what the federal policy offer. Federal polytechnic local thing. It was the one to one military guy to join offer because I offer no to some extent I know we come for job alone. So give me a lot of so I offer no one so which was a Molagoju, I think. So I think it was one of the getting that only federal if I it's the Jack but not the federal police there. So that is how complicated and this thing is. But again, I think those things will change. Those things will change. I pray that this local government autonomy or the stifle, if it works, those are some of the things that will be addressed. And it's happened in many other states in Nigeria like that. So just be one fee, our kidney, or oppress one. So, but if now I want to be politics about local government autonomy, but I'm sure that Agbára Ọlọ́run tí Yoruba will second term, it will have the zeal and the reason to make sure that they enforce it. And all that if they enforce it, those kind of things should be addressed, hopefully. So I think those are some of the things. So the Kwara South here, there's a lot of the fact that because I went to my hometown like earlier this year. So the fact that we were to emigrate massively, we just have Fulani there are so many there now. In fact, it's more like
Emma Binu.
That is how there are even youths that are massive. People. I'm sorry to say, we are very naive.
I'm around up. I'm around up, sir. I'm around up.
So I'm just 1 minute now. So when we went to our hometown, and I was saying this thing, this is a very, I was expressing concern. They were all laughing at me. That is how naive we are as the people. You know, they were all laughing at me, and they were even, like that is exactly how naive a lot of us are. I'm sure that now they realize the danger the thing I was expressing some months ago. Then, so I think that some of those things will change with time. So that's my speech.
Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀, ẹ ṣé ń gbọ́ mi? Ṣé ń gbọ́ mi, Mr. Jolomi?
But your voice is not loud.
Okay, jẹ́ kí n sọ̀rọ̀ sókè.
It's better now.
Ẹ ṣé. Àwọn ń ṣe Mr. o Dr. Láyínká ni wọ́n o. Dókítà Láyínká ni o.
Ẹ má bínú, sir.
Àgbà dókítà ni wọ́n o, tán ṣe ọ̀rá ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn. Àwọn tí YF tọkàntọkàn láti ilẹ̀ Ìgbòmìnà ni wọ́n o. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín o. Ẹ ṣé o, Olódùmarè á máa wà pẹ̀lú yín dókítà o. Ṣé rí dókítà? Ṣé rí inú mi dùn pé ẹ kí n tí mo sọ lẹ́yìn. Ṣé rí inú mi dùn pé we are now having a kind of an advanced conversation that is not that olójú àwọn tó nírú conversation yìí in the history of Yorubaland. And I trust my Yoruba people. Many people are listening to jẹ́ pé wọ́n sì máa flesh it down to one. And this conversation, this information will go into sí ìlú gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá pátá ló máa lọ. Ṣé rí Ajímọ̀bí ó ṣe nǹkan kan ní Kwara State, ní Oyo State. Party tí Ajímọ̀bí ṣe was that Okeogun was one of the most underdeveloped areas. Oyo Tangan was underdeveloped. Ìbàdàn àti Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ nìkan ló ní a form of development in the whole of Oyo State. Kí ló ṣe? Gbogbo àwọn annex polytechnics tó wà ní Oyo State. So there was a rural campus, Shaki campus, and Ibadan campus. Wọ́n pín sí ọ̀nà mẹ́ta. So àwọn Ìbàràpá, another block, wọ́n ní full-fledged polytechnic tiwọn. Shaki ní northernmost axis yẹn, òun náà ní polytechnic tiẹ̀. Nǹkan kékeré yẹn lásán ó dẹ̀ tún ọrọ̀ ajé Shaki ṣe. The way bí LAUTECH bó ṣe tún ọrọ̀ ajé Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ṣe for life. Ṣèyí Mákindé náà rí template yẹn, ó bọ́ síbẹ̀. Ó sọ NCE Oyo State, ó sọ di ti Ọ̀yọ́, Emmanuel Alayande, ó sọ di full-fledged University of Technology. Because in tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé people will always leave economically backward places to go to economically progressive places. So our people had to leave. Ní wọ́n kúrò ní Kwara South to go and also láti lọ wá ọrọ̀ ajé, more economic opportunities l'Èkó, n'Ílọrin, n'Íbàdàn. Bẹ̀tẹ̀ bá wo nǹkan kan sì l'Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́. Ní Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ for instance àti ní Ọ̀fà, ẹlòmíì wà, Ọ̀fà ló ti lọ primary school, Ọ̀fà ló ti lọ secondary school, Ọ̀fà ló ti ṣe HND, Ọ̀fà ló ti ríṣẹ́, ẹlòmíì gan ò tiẹ̀ jáde kúrò l'Ọ̀fà. Torí student environment ló ti ní business center tó ti ń run láyé ẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ wà prosperous l'Ọ̀fà. Tó dẹ̀ wà prosperous l'Ọ̀fà. Because there's an economy around Ọ̀fà. Torí ẹ̀ sì, Ọ̀fà is the only local government with the highest number of tertiary institutions in the entire Kwara South. Federal Poly Ọ̀fà yẹn ló change life Ọ̀fà. Mo dẹ̀ gbàdúrà kí President Bola Ahmed Tinubu kan sọ university, kan sọ Federal Poly Ọ̀fà, kan sọ the Federal University, kan dẹ̀ fún ọ ní Federal Medical Centers. So, torí ẹ̀, tẹ́ ẹ bá ní institutions, àwọn èèyàn máa dúró sílé. Àwọn Yorùbá máa ń ka ìwé. Torí inú mi fi dùn fún Kogi State University tó ń bẹ ní Kaba lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ní Kogi, ní Kaba, ní Kogi West, nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ń bẹ. So without universities, many lecturers máa wá, many students máa wá, churches will come, mosque will come, àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ tó fẹ́ ṣe tó ń ṣe pure water, ilé-iṣẹ́ tó ń ṣe block, a lot of economic activities á bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bẹ. So the rate of outward migration, for instance, LAUTECH, wọ́n create LAUTECH in 1993, 1996. Before that time, àwọn Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ people, wọ́n máa migrate lọ wá lọ Jos, Kano, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Abidjan, táwọn Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ṣe máa ń pò lé nìyẹn. Bẹ̀gbẹ̀ tí LAUTECH ti wà l'Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ń sìn, Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ rate of migration of Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ youths out of LAUTECH has reduced drastically. And because of LAUTECH, Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ has the second highest number of banks, by financial institutions, after Ibadan, in Oyo State. Before, it was not like that. Because there was nothing keeping people down. So, ẹlòmíì wá ń sìn yìí, young people, ó dá restaurant sílẹ̀. Creation of jobs. A lot of bankers, wọ́n á dá ibi tẹ́bá ti ní universities, banks are wá dá campus, wá síbẹ̀, they will be forced. Ìsìnyí, ẹ̀dá university sílẹ̀ ní mo fẹ́ wá ìlú kan ní òkè o. Ẹ bá lọ báńkì mi ò lè wá lókè o tẹ́lẹ̀ ìsìn. Now there's a federal university lókè o báyìí ìsìn. So almost 10 to 15 banks will be forced to go and locate them. The First Bank, First Bank will go there. GTB Bank will go there. Polaris will be there. And many of these banks will be forced to go and locate their offices there. Because there will be a lot of inflow. So there will not be even new people. So you have a student environment, students, from pre-degree to postgraduate is over 100,000 people. Student population, workers, at our lecturers, academic and non-academic staff, almost 20,000. Now, let's go on Nisibenye. So instead of outward migration of people out of Okeo, there will be another 150,000 people every year. So it's increased the population. Now people will be forced. And one come on, the students don't stay on time. They local hostels. And we have local hostels. Artisans will start moving there. Àwọn tó ń ṣe pure water bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lọ síbẹ̀. Àwọn tó ń ṣe bread bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní lọ síbẹ̀ because there is market. But tẹ́ bá lọ wo tó ṣe fún Moro local government in Kwara North àtàwọn Asa local government yẹn àti Kwara South àti Kogi West, they intentionally underdeveloped those places. Tẹ́ bá lọ wo tó ṣe ní Osun State, ẹ máa mọ the importance of political power l'Osun State. 3 federal universities ló wà l'Osun State. A whole federal medical center, a federal medical university, pẹ̀lú teaching hospital brand new, ó ní wọ́n gbé sí Ìlá. Mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé bàbá Bísí Àkàndé náà Ọlọ́run lò fáwọn Ìgbòmínà. Because that lẹ́yìn federal, lẹ́yìn NC Ìlá has been College of Education Ìlá làwọn Ìgbòmínà ń jẹ ní Kwara State, Osun State for a long time. Nobody can doubt that. And we know Ile-Ife is the origin, is the spiritual homeland, the civilization homeland, home base of the entire Yoruba race. That's no doubt. But the reality is that without University of Ife, Ile-Ife need this power and glamour. OAU lásán òun ló sọ Ile-Ife di bó tó dì yẹn. So in táwọn North, àwọn feudalists understand nìyẹn. They will never allow you to get torí ẹ̀ ní Adams Oshiomhole. Adams Oshiomhole will àwọn ará àwọn èèyàn máa serve ẹ̀kú ni. Because kí ló ṣe fún wọn? There was a state university ní Isheland, ní Edo Central, a federal university ní Edo South, senatorial zone fáwọn Benin. There was nothing in Edo North. Absolutely nothing in Edo North. Kí ló ṣe Edo North? Ó lọ create Edo State University in Edo North. Ló lọ ṣe. Ló lọ create fún wọn, fáwọn èèyàn. So as to turn that place, because many of the people near Edo North, àwọn náà máa migrate síta ni. There was no opportunity. It was only the Benin people and the Ishan people that was controlling Edo. There was nothing. Now they've created like a micro-economic environment that will retain the best brains, retain money, and retain people and the necessary skills. So if you look at if you look at what has happened, for instance, you look at many places, Cambridge, Oxford, ìlú ló ń jẹ́ Cambridge, ìlú ló ń jẹ́ Oxford. People are sọ pé University of Ibadan ni, ìlú ló ń jẹ́ Ìbàdàn, ìlú ló ń jẹ́ Oxford ní UK. Àwọn university yẹn, àwọn ni wọ́n sọ àwọn ìlú tí ò ju villages lọ di ìlú alágbára. So what they did, that was why you look at another good example is Southern Kaduna. Kaduna is one of the states in Nigeria that has one of the highest number of institutions, federal institutions, from military to paramilitary to civilian. Kaduna, but it's only in Kaduna City and Zaria. The Christian parts and the non-Hausa Fulani parts were intentionally left backward. It was Tinubu that liberated those people and gave them a university. And they are so happy. So, and when you look at Kaduna, you are not going to, if you're not careful, you think Kaduna is a Muslim-dominated place. No. Almost the population of Muslims and Christians in Kaduna is almost 50-50. But they've used political power and poverty to destroy the people there. So the people now have they now have a university that they can call their own. And they can now build an economy and even have a say. If not, for the next 300 years, somehow in the state of backwardness. What has sustained Kwara South from total desolation, Dr. Lanka? If not that, our Yoruba Kwara South, one were industrious ago, so that our one under private universities, Bishop Boydebona, Landmark University, on no save Kwara South. Kwara South would have been destroyed with poverty and backwardness. Poverty is a weapon. Feudalism is a weapon. Ignorance is a weapon. I hope I've been able. And many people too. So, Madam Peju, make an announcement. It's been a wonderful day today. Mo kí gbogbo lé o, lórúkọ Olódùmarè o. Ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ ṣé o. Ẹ má jẹ́ kó sú yín, ẹ má jẹ́ kó rẹ̀ yín o. Torí pé kò sú yín ni a fi lè máa wá bí every week o. Please, if you're not following TYF, spread the message of TYF. Join us. Join us. If you want to be a member of TYF, go to www.thinkyorubafirst.org. And if you want to be part, you want to volunteer, you have any skills, please join us. And if you want to be part of TYF, whether you're in Abuja, a TYF branch, Abuja, TYF 1 in Kwara, TYF 1 in Kogi, we need more people. TYF 1 in Delta, TYF 1 in Edo, found Yoruba. If you are in River State, join us. There's TYF that we are already starting, that we're working on in Port Harcourt. There's TYF across Europe. There's TYF Scandinavia. There's TYF America. There's TYF Canada. And there's TYF across West Africa, from Benin Republic, Togo. There's Ghana. There's Sierra Leone. There's Côte d'Ivoire. We want you. Please, we cannot do this alone. Let us all come together and form a powerful geopolitical Yoruba bloc. And let us continue to educate ourselves. And let us always remember to pray for Yorubaland every day. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní parun o. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá will continue to remain strong for life. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní pọ̀ wá jáde. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, some other people will not take over our land. And one day, this issue of Northern Yoruba versus Southern Yoruba dichotomy will be destroyed. The Yorubas of Nigeria will be united, whether they are in the southwest, and north central. God will give us the necessary leadership, and we make things work for us. The way God made things work for Tinubu in 2023 election. It was God that gave Tinubu victory. Despite all the pain, the enemies of the Yoruba people, the enemies of great things, they work against themselves. And that is God in action. So we should understand this. And even though we walk, we also need to pray. I'm a strong believer in God. Because ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, ilẹ̀ tí tó wà important ní fún ọjọ́ iwájú, for the liberation of the entire black race. That was why Awolowo called us Ogun Adúláwọ̀. Ọlọ́run á ràn wá lọ́wọ́ o. Bí mo ṣe sọ, and if you also want to assist us one way or the other, you go to our website, you are going to see our donation button. Because TYF as an institution, there are many people working full-time in TYF all over the world. So we also need your help. We need your support. And we started, we have a Yoruba class. You can also go online and register for the Yoruba language class, free. Then the TYF IT school, even though Kwekinti so they successfully finished and they've graduated in cybersecurity and computer networking. Lágbára Olódùmarè, next month is going to be the graduation for the first batch of TYF College. Tí wọ́n parí láyọ̀ àti àlàáfíà. And we could only do this because of the support of everybody, Tari. We are creating a system that is going to empower Yoruba people. Out of 25 students, àwọn mẹ́wàá ni wọ́n parí. And I must commend Yoruba women. They did well. Yoruba women, most of the Yoruba women that started the class, wọ́n jọ parí náà ọkùnrin náà san class. Ọlọ́run ṣàánú àwa ọkùnrin. Mo mọ̀ pọ̀ náà àti jẹ àti mu náà ló jẹ́ kọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ wá san class. But mo mọ̀ pé by next year, it's going to be another full session. And it's going to be a full-fledged college. where we are going to be able to be training and giving education. There will be education, there will be me, if a best speaker, but we should be prepared. And the graduation ceremony hopefully will be live. And you are going to see, we are going to have guests of honor that's going to come and speak to us as regards to speak to the new graduates. We are doing great things. And as you can see also for the past few days, the TYF microcredit scheme, where a minimum loan of 100,000 naira was given to young market women, interest-free, across markets, in Ibadan to be specific, has also started. And it was many of them want to finish a business. And they will start repaying, they pay back weekly, no interest. We can only do this because of the help that God has, that we need you to follow us on our YouTube channel. We need you to try and subscribe. We need you to spread the message of Yorubanism, because we want this institution called Think Yoruba First, which belongs to each and every one of us, to be the backbone, to be the strength, to be the pillar, to be one of the tools that Olodumare will use in this millennium, in this century, in this decade, for the preservation and for the survival of the entire Yoruba race. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tíìmù Yorùbá ronú o, ṣé kò rẹ̀ yín púpọ̀? Mo kí yín o, kò lọ́hùn ní jẹ́ kó rẹ̀ yín o. Whatever bá ní skill video editing, graphic to event volunteer, ẹ máa bọ̀ wá join wa. We need help. If you also want to, you are in Lagos, you want to be part of it, reach out to us. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, Madam Péjú, ẹ tún nọ́mbà yẹn pè, so that people can text that number and they can join us. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní bàjẹ́ o. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní parẹ́ o. And we also have a Yoruba library. We have an e-library. We are the only organization in the whole of socio-cultural, socio-ethnic organization in the whole of Africa that has the first e-library, where you can go free of charge, where you can access books that you want and read in order to cure any form of ignorance or to clear doubts and to liberate yourself. We are the only person, we are the only organization with that resource, with those kind of resources. So if you want to read and you don't have books and you say, I think I'll go away, just go to our website, www.thinkyorubafirst.org. We want as many people as possible to use our library. You can Google any books of your choice, from philosophy to Yoruba history. You can always go there. You read and you become better and better. And we are surely going to ensure that our book catalog reaches thousands in the future. Olodumare will continue to bless us. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní parun o. Gbogbo ẹnikẹ́ni tó ní pé kí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá parun, gbogbo àwọn tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ ibi sílẹ̀ Yorùbá, ibi a máa bá wọn ní o. A kí gbogbo àwọn orí adé o, Ọọ̀ni of Ifẹ̀, Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, di Aláké of Ẹ̀gbá, Ọlọ́wọ̀ of Ọ̀wọ̀, Ọ̀wọ̀rọ̀ of Ṣàwó, Ọ̀ràngún of Ìlá, Ọwọ́ Ọbọ̀kun of Ìjẹ̀ṣà-land, Olúbàdàn of Ìbàdàn, Ọba of Lagos, Elékò of Èkó, Ọba Ẹlẹ́gùṣì, gbogbo àwọn ọba Àwùjalẹ̀, Àkàrí-Ìgbò ti Rẹ́mọ, mo kí gbogbo wa o, mo kọ́ àwọn orí adé o. Ọba Olúgbọ́n of Igbọ́n, Ọ̀rìnlẹ̀gbọ́n, mo kí gbogbo wa o. Ṣọ̀wọ́n of Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́, kádé pẹ́ lórí kí bàtà pẹ́ lẹ́sẹ̀ o. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní aláṣẹ̀yìn ti ilẹ̀ Ìṣẹ̀yìn, ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́ ti ilẹ̀ Ṣakí. Ẹ jẹ́ kó mọ jú mi ṣe, ẹ jẹ́ kó mọ jú wa ṣe o. A pàdé lọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ o. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ o.
Thank you so much, Are, for that wonderful lecture and that very insightful Q&A. The WhatsApp number for TYF rooming session, series would be 234-901-057-5121. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and I also hope you had a lot of insightful knowledge, and you go home today with a lot of wisdom, knowledge about Yoruba and the challenges that we face. And I also want to remind you that we are Yoruba first before we are our subgroups. And if Germans can do it and create a structural unit to be able to advance their civilization, Yoruba can do the same. So you have to remember at all times, Òṣùṣù ọwọ̀ ni Yorùbá, a dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ pínyà, nítorí pé òṣùṣù ọwọ̀ ni a gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ká tó lè ní ìlọsíwájú. Ọlọ́run á bá wa ṣe o. Ó dàárọ̀ o. A dẹ̀ tún ríra ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ on all the same platform at 8 p.m. Ẹ ṣé gan ni. Ó dàárọ̀.